We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. In Parliament today, Lok Sabha to debate on electoral reforms today, while Home Minister will lead discussion in Rajya Sabha on 150 years of Vande Mataram. Aviation regulator DGCA has slashed IndiGo flight schedules by 5% for its winter 2025 schedule, citing the airline's inability to operate efficiently. IMF has recognized India's unified payment interface as world's largest real-time payment system. UPI accounts for 49% of global transactions by transactional volume. And in sports, Grandmaster R. Pragananda creates history, becomes first Indian to qualify for Candidates 2026. And on to the details now. In Parliament, a special 10-hour debate to mark 150 years of the national song Vande Mataram was held in Lok Sabha, the lower house, on Monday. Attention now shifts to the Rajya Sabha, the upper house, where Home Minister Amit Shah will open a parallel discussion in a short while. Yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi led the debate with a nearly hour-long address, invoking both the legacy of the song and its contested political journey. The discussion saw spirited participation from both the Treasury benches and the opposition. BJP leaders, including Anurag Thakur and Bansuri Swaraj, underlined how Vande Mataram continues to inspire nationalism and cultural pride in India. The opposition too made its presence felt. The Congress leaders Gaurav Gogoi and Priyanka Gandhi Vadra countered the government's claim. Meanwhile, the Lok Sabha debate the special intensive revision of electoral rules as part of a discussion on electoral reforms today. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju earlier said that SIR is an administrative matter of the Election Commission, which is why the Parliament had to widen the scope of the discussion. Now, he had mentioned that he looks forward to a very constructive and engaging discussion. And December 9, 1946 marked a defining moment in India's history as the Constituent Assembly convened its first session. It was held in the historic Constitution Hall of Parliament House, now known as Samvidhan Sadan. Well, this assembly, comprising visionaries and leaders from across the nation, embarked on the monumental task of drafting a constitution that would uphold the values of democracy, unity and progress for an independent India. And leaders of the National Democratic Alliance held a meeting in the Parliament Library building in New Delhi today. The NDA leaders felicitated Prime Minister Modi during the meeting for the Bihar election victory. All NDA members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha attended the meeting. Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw and Dr. S. Shankar, along with JDU MP Sanjay Jha, NCP MP Praful Patel, L. Murugan and several other leaders also arrived for the gathering. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi is expected to host a special dinner for all NDA MPs on December 11 to strengthen coordination and refine floor strategy during the winter session. And the aviation regulator has pulled up IndiGo over its winter 2025 schedule. A fresh DGCA notice dated 8 December reveals that while IndiGo was approved for more than 64,000 flights for November, the airline actually operated over 59,400 flights, recording 951 cancellations during the month. Now, the DGCA notes that IndiGo was allowed a 6% increase in its schedule compared to the previous season, but the airline could not deploy the required number of aircraft, operating only 339 jets in October and 344 in November, far below the approved 403. Now, citing the airline's inability to operate efficiently, the regulator has now directed IndiGo to cut its schedule by 5%, especially on high-demand routes, and avoid single-flight sectors. Also, IndiGo has been asked to submit a revised schedule by 5 p.m. on the 10th of December. And this notice comes amid weeks of disruptions, raising major concerns about capacity planning and passenger impact during the busy schedule of the season. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Civil Aviation and DGCA has been constantly monitoring the situation across all the airports in real time since 3rd of December due to extraordinary circumstances caused by the disruption of IndiGo operations. Monday night, a high-level review meeting comprising all the senior officials was undertaken for a comprehensive assessment of the situation. Now, all senior officials of the ministry have been instructed to visit airports to verify airline operations and passenger-oriented services. Any shortcomings identified, including feedback received through interaction with the passengers, are to be addressed and rectified immediately. Well, the International Monetary Fund report on growing retail digital payments had recognized Unified Payments Interface, that is UPI, as the world's largest retail fast payment system by transaction volume. Now, various initiatives have been taken up by the government, Reserve Bank of India and National Payment Corporation of India to support small-scale merchants in adopting digital payment systems, including UPI. According to the Ministry of Finance, as per the ACI Worldwide Report on Prime Time for Real Time 2024, UPI has around 49% share in the global real-time payment system transaction volume. These inter alia include incentive scheme for promotion of low-value BHIM UPI transactions and the Payment Infrastructure Development Fund, which provides grant support to the banks and fintechs for deployment of digital payment infrastructure in Tier 3 to 6 centers. Meanwhile, UPI continued its rapid rise in November 2025, crossing over 19 billion transactions worth 24.58 lakh crore rupees as of November 28th, according to data released by the National Payment Corporation of India. This marked a sharp increase compared to the same period last year, when UPI recorded 15.48 billion transactions valued at 21.55 lakh crore rupees in November 2024. The latest figures show that UPI's transaction volume in November 2025 grew by about 23% from November 2024, while the transaction value rose by nearly 14%. And the 10th edition of the India-Indonesia Joint Special Forces exercise Garuda Shakti is underway at the Special Forces Training School, Bucklow. The exercise aims to enhance interoperability and facilitate the exchange of best practices in mission planning and execution of counter-terrorism operations in semi-mountainous terrain. Key focus areas include heliborne operations, combat shooting, and the employment of drones and CUAS systems, further strengthening the robust defense partnership between India and Indonesia. And the groundbreaking government initiative called PM Dhan Krishi Yojana was launched to revolutionize Indian agriculture by making it more productive, sustainable, and financially rewarding for the farmers. Today, a two-day event is being organized in New Delhi. PM Dhan Krishi Yojana FPO Sangam will facilitate direct market linkages between FPOs and institutional or retail buyers and enhance market readiness of FPOs through capacity building sessions on branding, packaging, digital commerce, and quality assurance. And taking another strong step towards women empowerment and financial inclusion, Prime Minister Narendra Modi launched the Bima Sakhi Yojana of Life Insurance Corporation in 2024. Well, the scheme implemented by the Life Insurance Corporation of India is a 3-year stipendary program aimed at empowering women, especially in rural areas, by training them to become LIC insurance agents and promoting financial inclusion. Now, the initiative aligns with the government's Insurance for All by 2047 mission and the broader goal of empowering women through economic independence. Highlighting that India was treading forward with the resolution of Viksit Bharat by 2047, Prime Minister stressed that it was imperative to ensure ample opportunities and remove every obstacle in their way to empower women. And winter has finally knocked on Himachal's door with fresh snowfall in Rohtang Pass. 2 inches of snow have lifted the spirits, promising a boost for tourism and farming alike. But the Manali-Leh highway now stands closed. Let's take you there for more. Meanwhile, let's first go to Lok Sabha, where Civil Aviation Minister is speaking.
Indian aviation has evolved to become more inclusive. India has emerged as the world's fastest growing aviation market with year-on-year passenger growth of around 12%. India is already third biggest domestic aviation market with a huge potential for future growth. And the policies of the government will ensure that this growth trajectory is kept intact. To summarize, operations are stabilizing fast, safety remains fully in force, IndiGo is being held accountable, passengers' convenience and dignity are being protected, and long-term measures are underway to make India's aviation sector stronger and more passenger-centric. The government will remain fully vigilant until normalcy is achieved and will continue to ensure that every passenger in India travels safely, comfortably, and with the respect they deserve. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Well, you were watching live from the Lok Sabha, and moving on, still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Australia's young teenagers will soon be spared from endless scrolling online as the country is set to impose world's first social media ban. Netflix deal faces new challenge. Paramount launches hostile bid for Warner Brothers. And strong India face shaky South Africa in first match of T20 series in Qatar today. Shubman Gill and Hardik Pandya to return. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, President Trump announced on Monday he will allow NVIDIA to sell its advanced H200 computer chips to approved customers in China, a boost to the semiconductor giant whose chips are widely used for artificial intelligence. US President Donald Trump has cleared the way for tech giant NVIDIA to sell its advanced H200 chip to China in a significant easing of Washington's export controls targeting Chinese tech. Trump in a post said that he had informed Chinese President Xi Jinping of the decision to allow the export of the chip under an arrangement that will see 25% of sales paid to the US government. He also said exports would be allowed to approved customers under conditions that protect national security and that his administration would take the same approach in relation to other chip makers such as AMD and Intel. The announcement marked a significant shift in U.S. export policy for advanced AI chips, which Joe Biden's administration had heavily restricted over national security concerns about Chinese military applications. Democrats in Congress quickly dismissed the shift as a huge mistake that will help the Chinese military and economy. Republican Representative John Molinar also concurred with the Democrats, adding that China would use the chips to strengthen its military capabilities and surveillance. The announcement comes amid trade tensions between Washington and Beijing as the two largest economies in the world compete for dominance in artificial intelligence technology. Bureau Report, DD India. And moving on, Australia's young teenagers will soon be spared from endless scrolling online as the country is set to impose world's first social media ban. Now, from December 10th, that is Wednesday, children under 16 years of age will no longer be allowed to have a social media account, making a last-ditch pitch to convince hundreds of thousands of Australian adolescents. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the contentious law were for their own good. He added that the move is aimed at ensuring children spend quality time with friends and family face to face.
It's like growing up with algorithms, endless speeds, and the pressure that can come with that. That's why we've taken this step to support you. Above all, make the most of the school holidays coming up. Rather than spending it scrolling on your phone, start a new sport, learn a new instrument, or read that book that has been sitting there on your shelf for some time. And importantly, spend quality time with your friends and your family, face to face.
Well, the Thai forces shelled Cambodian positions overnight into Tuesday, killing 2 more civilians, bringing Cambodia's civilian death toll in the reignited border conflict to 6. Now, as per Cambodian Defense Ministry, Thai military fired into the border province of Bentir Meanchey after midnight, resulting in the deaths of 2 civilians. Information Minister informed that at least 4 Cambodian civilians were killed by Thai shelling, while around 10 other civilians were wounded, including a Cambodian journalist. Both sides have blamed the other for instigating the renewed fighting, which saw Thailand launch airstrikes and use tanks against its neighbor. And Ukraine will share a revised peace plan with the U.S. on Tuesday that is aimed at ending conflict with Russia. The statement came after talks in London between President Volodymyr Zelensky and the leaders of France, Germany and Britain. As the conflict nears its 4-year mark, Kyiv, under pressure from the White House to agree quickly to a peace settlement, wants to balance out a U.S.-backed draft that was widely seen as favorable to Moscow. Now, Monday's hastily arranged a meeting among British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and Zelensky was aimed to strengthen Ukraine's hand. Also, Zelensky later flew to Brussels, where he met European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa. He described his meeting with the 2 EU institution chiefs as well as NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte as good and productive. Leaders from Estonia, Finland, Ireland, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland and Sweden urged the European Union to move quickly with a stalled proposal to use those assets to provide funds for Ukraine. Meanwhile, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that Moscow has not received any information about the outcome of talks between U.S. and Ukrainian officials in Florida regarding a settlement in Ukraine. Now, Peskov said that they don't know the outcome of talks between the Ukrainians and the Americans in Florida. Peskov added that once Moscow receives information about the results, it will be clear how and in what direction they are to act next. In the United States, President Donald Trump will host Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House on December 29th, according to an Israeli government spokesperson. The Prime Minister's office on December 1st said that Trump had invited Netanyahu to the White House in the near future, although a date for the visit has not yet been made public. The announcement came a day after Netanyahu said he expected to discuss the second phase of the ceasefire in Gaza with Trump, as well as opportunities for peace in the region. Netanyahu said on Sunday that the second phase of a U.S. plan to end the conflict in Gaza was close, but cautioned several key issues still needed to be resolved, including whether a multinational security force would be deployed. Netanyahu said he would discuss with Trump how to bring an end to Hamas rule in Gaza. A ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is entering its second month, although both sides have repeatedly accused each other of violating the truce agreement. Well, Hollywood's biggest studios are now locked in a high-stakes corporate showdown as Paramount launches a hostile bid to take over Warner Brothers Discovery, directly challenging Netflix's recent blockbuster deal. With billions of dollars, global investors and even White House scrutiny involved, the battle for one of the industry's most iconic studios is far from over. Tsunami Kashyap brings us the latest on this escalating clash in Hollywood. Take a look.
Hollywood studio Paramount has launched a hostile $108.4 billion all-cash bid to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, directly challenging streaming giant Netflix's $72 billion deal announced just days earlier. The move reopens the bidding war for one of Hollywood's most valuable studios. Warner Brothers says it will review Paramount's offer but continues to recommend Netflix for now. If Paramount's proposal moves forward, it would rank among the largest media takeovers in history and trigger a $2.8 billion breakup fee owed to Netflix. Paramount insists its bid is stronger, offering $18 billion more in cash and a clearer path through regulators, backed by financing from Larry Ellison, West Asian sovereign wealth funds, and U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner's affinity partners. Political scrutiny is also intensifying, with President Trump weighing in, saying the government will examine market share before approving any takeover, and stressing that neither Netflix nor Paramount are great friends of his.
I know the companies very well. I know what they're doing, but I have to see what percentage of market they have. We have to see the Netflix percentage of market, Paramount, the percentage of market. I mean, none of them are particularly great friends of mine. You know, I want to do what's right. It's so very important to do what's right.
Analysts say the battle for Warner Brothers is far from over, with both companies facing intense antitrust scrutiny and offering competing visions for Hollywood's future. Paramount argues its takeover would protect theatrical releases and strengthen the industry, while Netflix maintains its deal would not lead to job cuts or reduced competition. With shareholders, regulators, and the White House all now drawn into the clash, the fight for one of entertainment's most iconic studios is set to continue and could reshape the industry whichever way it ends. Tsunami Kashyap's report for DD India.
And on to some sports news now. After an action-packed test and ODI leg, the spotlight now moves to the T20 internationals as India get set to take on South Africa in a 5-match T20 international series. The series, starting on Tuesday, will offer both the teams a vital opportunity to assess form and combination as the countdown to the T20 World Cup 2026 gathers pace. And Indian chess reached another historic high on December 8th as R. Pragananda was confirmed as the winner of the Fight Circuit 2025, securing direct qualification to the prestigious 2026 Candidates Tournament. At just 20, he outshone global rivals with unmatched consistency, finishing the season with 115.17 points, ahead of compatriot Anish Giri and Uzbekistan's Grandmaster Nordebek. His victories at the Tata Steel Masters, Superbet Chess Classic Romania, Uzchess Cup Masters and London Chess Classic highlighted his dominance, while runner-up and mid-table finishers still added crucial points. This triumph positions Pragananda among the elite 8 contenders for the world title. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Nipakshi Khurana from Al Wazeer in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.